And half the time, the greatest success stories are those that have had great failures. Your success story, though, has really been about the world of publishing. You and I talked just moments ago about the sale of Maximum stuff and as well, I believe it was a Blender, to a private equity firm recently. You at one point owned as many as 200 magazines. You still own 50 today. What made you decide to sell some of the best-known brands that you've become, you know, famous for?
I've been selling magazines for as long as I've been launching them. So as soon as I've launched some new magazines or websites and other media enterprises, I'm always looking for a home for them. I'm looking for who's going to be their new owner. And then I'll take that money, and much of it I'll reinvest. Much of it I'll give to charity, and the rest I'll keep and splurge or invest or whatever, and then move on to the next thing. The idea of just owning a magazine or owning you know, any kind of media enterprise for year after year after year gets a little tedious after a while. I obviously haven't got the staying power of somebody like Rupert Murdoch, who can go in there and stick with something for 30 years. I can't do that.
You know, one of the things I found really charming reading in your book is that you have a great sense of humor about this, and it's not always about the money. It's about the joy and the pleasure of the experience. And I know you had an illness back in 1999, which really changed your perspective a lot, and you began writing poetry. Tell me about that.
Well, that's been the big thing in my life over the last 10 years. I was very ill, and I began to write poetry. And to my astonishment, I'd never written poetry before. I didn't know anything about poetry. To my astonishment, it started to get published, you know, by proper book publishers. And
Four books, right?
I know. And then the Royal Shakespeare Company came along and performed it on stage. And maybe really I was born to be a poet, and I just wasted all this time making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know, Alexis. But it's been a wonderful catharsis for me, because it is so different from everything else that I've done. But I don't, and there is some poetry in the book, in How to Get Rich, but I kept it down. I figured people that were going to buy that book, they wanted to either to be entertained and amused, or else they truly did want to try to make themselves as rich as they wanted to be.
You know, we talked at the beginning about where you are on the list of the 100 richest people, particularly in London, and it says that your estimated net worth before taxes is somewhere between $400 and $900 million. That's a big range, and that's a lot of money. I guess, what do you consider to be your biggest accomplishment?
In publishing and media, I guess that would change from country to country. So in some countries it would be the establishment of a wonderful magazine called The Week, which praises all these different stories from around the world every single week, and I'd be known for that. And then in America, of course, it was Maxim, you know, because Maxim was just the first beer truck into the desert, you know, so, and it was a great magazine. Still is, by the way.
Still is a great
Still
one.
is a great magazine. And in other countries, it would be other things. You know, I co-founded a public company for $2 or $3 billion. So it just depends what country you're talking about. But in America, I guess I got to say it was for Maxim magazine.
What's next?
I'm franchising The Week all the way around the world. So we're launching that in Australia, and I hope to launch it eventually in Canada and India. And I think The Week is going to be the next big thing for me. Meanwhile, we've discovered a new way of creating things that are called e-zines. And these are sent into your mailbox on your computer. And when you open them, you're not on the internet. You know, the thing is already on your computer. And you can go back to it, and you can keep it just like a regular magazine. You can put it away if you want, and you can get it out again. And all the pages turn. When you bring this thing up on your screen, the pages turn. Every time you touch a picture, the video starts. Every time your mouse goes onto a piece of type, it enlarges in front of you. And these are called e-zines, and we've helped to create the technology, the software that does all this stuff. I'm pretty excited about this. We just launched a new one called iGizmo, which is all about gadgets.
Wow. And could that be the death of the print publishing industry, or just an offset with more opportunities?
You know, in that book, How to Get Rich, I talk about how many times they've told us that the print industry is finished.
Right.
And I'm sure that they'll be telling you in not so many years, they'll be telling you hundreds of times why television is finished. You know what? I wouldn't take too much notice of that if I were you. Most things most things don't just vanish. New inventions just add to the meld. They very rarely kill off.
Okay, iGizmo.
iGizmo, yeah, you have a go.
I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah, I think you'll love it.
All right. Well, Felix Dennis, it was a great pleasure meeting you. And, of course, the book is How to Get Rich. One of the world's greatest entrepreneurs shares his secrets. I'm going to bring this home and read this with my husband.
Alexis,
thank you very much.